son of David, wisdom hath builded her house. She hath hewn out her 7 pillars. The dream of the dreamers of Zion has come true. For upon ancient Mount Scopus, where once the legions of the Roman Emperor Titus looked down on the old city of Jerusalem, it stands. The fairest flower of modern Jewish Renaissance, of Eretz Israel, our Hebrew University. If you could stand on Mount Scopus and look upon these beautiful buildings, tears would come to your eyes as they have to those of refugee professors from older universities now destroyed. Tears of pride and hope, yes, and of true joy. You would understand in your very heart and mind what the Hebrew University means, not only to Zion, not only to Palestine, but to all humanity. Cannot hope to capture the present importance, the future greatness of the Hebrew University. But it may give you a somewhat clearer idea of what the university is doing and why it so richly merits your ever-continuing support. Symbolic of its spirit is the flag that flies over the university, the flag that proudly flaunts the Star of David. And behind this flag we see the ancient city of Jerusalem and one of the most famous sites in all Jewish history, the place where the temple once stood. And here's the old quarter with crowds of peasants, Bedouins, and traders. Note the Arab peasant women, the Greek priests, and Jews from Eastern Europe, still retaining their centuries-old garb. Rising above the ancient city is the citadel, once the chief fortress of Jerusalem, a sharp contrast to modern texture. People from all over the world visit the campus of the Hebrew University, high on Mount Scopus, a center of culture and learning open to every race and creed. Center of the university is the imposing Jewish National and Hebrew University Library, largest in the Middle East, containing among other treasures Dr. Albert Einstein's original manuscript on the theory of relativity. This beautiful arcade connects the library with the Rosenblum building, home of the Faculty of Humanities, including the Institute of Jewish Studies, School of Oriental Studies, Department of Education, and the Liberal Arts. This is the Museum of Jewish Antiquities. It will be the true treasure chest of Jewish history and of the Near East. Already it is filled with rare and precious relics of Jewish culture. Across the road is the Institute of Mathematics, bearing the great name of Einstein, and another building named in honor of this famous scientist, the Einstein Institute of Physics. Next door is the School of Chemistry, named for the world-famous chemist Chaim Weizmann. The University Clubhouse is the center of student life. As you can see, it is a good, healthy, normal university life, one to cherish and remember through the years. Here is the medical center with the imposing buildings of the Hadassah Hospital. When additional wings are erected, it will serve as the University Clinic. And here, the Nathan Ratnoff building, that houses the medical research laboratories that have done so much to reduce the dread malaria in Palestine. They are helping to fight the two major ills of the country, eye trouble and intestinal illness. Here are manufactured vaccines and serums for the entire Near East. These happy-faced nurses are truly the Florence Nightingales of Palestine. Critics originally said the people of Jerusalem would never go up Mount Scopus for medical care. But this hospital and these nurses have become tremendously important to and popular with people of every race and creed in the ancient city. Impressive as this Hadassah hospital may seem, 3 more buildings this size are needed before ordinary undergraduate teaching in medicine can start in the university. It's planned, however, to open the university's first actual medical school in October 1948. thereby starting to fill one of the most urgent needs of Palestine. But buildings alone cannot make a university. A university is only as great as the men who teach there. And Hebrew University has some of the world's greatest teachers, like Professor Sukenik, director of the Museum of Jewish Antiquities, shown here explaining to his students the so-called tombs of the kings of Jerusalem. The tombs, in fact, do not contain the remains of the Davidic kings, but the bodies of Queen Helena of Adiabene and her son Isates, and other members of a family of pagan Greeks who converted to Judaism and came to live in Palestine. Professor Sukenik is standing on top of the monumental staircase, pointing out the two cisterns, which provide water for ritual purposes and for needy Jerusalemites during dry summers. Students from time to time supplement their classroom studies with field trips in the Judean desert. Here's a group with the eminent Professor Picard of the Department of Geology. It was Professor Picard who discovered water in many an arid Jewish colony, enabling the colonists to irrigate their land, to turn desert into arable land and live. No doubt these students will use their geologic knowledge to similar public good throughout the arid regions of the Near East. This is just one example of what the Hebrew University means in terms of practical benefit to the community of Palestine. Here's another example, the Botanical Garden, named for Joseph Montague Lamport, who enabled its gorgeous planting across from the university library. Here the students learn the botany of the country they are going to cultivate under such teachers as Dr. Dohari, who tells them of such famed biblical plants as the cedars of Lebanon, not to mention all the other flora, the knowledge of which will help them make the wilderness of Zion bloom with new beauty. And here is yet another case where higher education is of direct use to these young men and women who are to continue the building of a new country in an old and arid land. The late Dr. Aharoni used the university zoo to teach his class in zoology. Professor Aharoni, in his younger years, was a famous hunter and observer of animal life in the Palestinian desert, and was one of the great experts on fauna of the Near East. Many a young farmer will thank him for teaching animal culture that makes the difference between want and plenty. This leads naturally to the Hebrew University School of Agriculture. The importance of this school to a community who must wrest a living from the soil cannot be overemphasized. These agricultural students spend 1 year in practical field work, then 2 years in basic natural sciences in the Faculty of Sciences in Jerusalem. Finally, 2 years in advanced agricultural studies at Rehovot. An important element of agricultural training is the study of meteorology, a department of the university headed by Dr. Ash Bell. Students in the gardens of the School of Agriculture and at the research station of the Jewish Agency. These boys and girls are preparing to be the instructors and research workers in the tremendously important field of Palestinian agriculture. Here are some students at work in the laboratory. Here is an outdoor class with another famous faculty member, Professor Volcanic, Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture. To him, all Zion owes an unending debt of gratitude, for it is he who was the father of scientific agriculture in modern Eretz Israel. At the University Experimental Farm, students learn practical lessons of scientific farming, the science with which Zion is turning the arid acres of Jewish Palestine into the promised land of milk and honey. indeed is the work done atop old Mount Scopus. Yet equally great is the work of the University Extension, reaching out to bring practical help to the towns, the villages, to young and old alike. Over 5,000 lectures were given last year in settlements both rural and urban, to folks like this group of settlers in Kiriat Anapim, near Jerusalem. Here is Dr. Shalem, university lecturer in geography, explaining some of the mysteries of the Judean desert and the Dead Sea. Their faces tell the story of what his words mean to them. But university extension isn't limited to professorial rank. University students consider it a high privilege to pass on their learning quickly to those who can profit by it. They give lessons in all manner of subjects, particularly in the 3 hours of modern Hebrew, the language of Jewish Palestine, and, of course, the language of the university. You can see how precious are the waters of the fonts of learning on Mount Scopus, and upon what thirsty land they fall. Because of the university, these Kurdish youngsters will leave forever their father's darkness of ignorance and illiteracy. It is indeed a proud privilege to attend the university, and students are happy for the chance to work their way through, taking up cheerfully whatever tasks offer. Here is one student earning his way by portering. Another gardening. Others working as stonemasons. And still another doing just plain menial labor. Our students are poor in everything but brains and ambition. The Jewish settlement police are among those who make good use of the university. For like the intellectual magnet it is, this great center of learning draws young minds to study, and older minds to give them of their knowledge and their inspiration. Incidentally, many American students, including veterans studying under the GI Bill of Rights, are now enrolled in the university. Let us just for a moment meet a few of the intellectual life of Hebrew University outside the classroom. Here are Professors Bergman of philosophy and Mayer of archaeology, enjoying a little tete-a-tete between classes. Here is Professor Norman Bentwich, who believes that the university was conceived by Weizmann as a citadel of the Jewish spirit. Today it exists in order to save and renew and deepen the Jewish mind. And here is Martin Buber, who holds the chair of social philosophy, one of the most distinguished Jewish thinkers and scholars of our time. And Professor Moshe Weizmann, brother of Chaim Weizmann, and himself a great chemist. Professor Franco, victim of the 1939 Italian racial laws against scholars. Another pioneer, the university's rector, Michael Fekete, professor of mathematics. Dr. Judah L. Magnus, president of Hebrew University, great soul leader who left his pulpit in New York's Temple Emmanuel to pioneer this seat of learning. Truly, these men are members of a faculty of which any university could well be proud. The university authorities believe wholeheartedly in the old adage of a healthy mind and a healthy body. The amphitheater is the university and communal center of musical and recreational activities. Here you see a group of Yemenite dancers rehearsing. Many of the students receive here at Hebrew University their first opportunity to develop muscles and chest expansion, which Europe's concentration camps and faulty diets have kept from proper growth. But just look at these specimens of Hebrew youth and ask yourself if Hebrew University is failing in its task of producing men and women who can stand the rigors of life in Palestine. Mighty, healthy group of undergraduates, aren't they? Yes, and a mighty healthy and growing university, if there's enough money to make present plans come true. Here you see Dr. Senator, administrator of the university, and Dr. Rieger, chairman of the education department, inspecting the site where new buildings are planned. On a release map of the development scheme, he points to the location of the new medical buildings, to new science buildings, to new buildings for the humanities, to Wingate's Memorial Hall, to the Future Sports Center, and to a university city for students and faculty from all over the world. Yes, the Hebrew University plans to keep on growing, to keep on building. The Hebrew University will never be content until it is as mighty as the culture it represents. The great stream of mental and spiritual power that is the Jewish heritage, which all the forces of evil from the pharaohs of yesterday to the fascists of today have failed to vanquish. If you are a Jew, yes, if you are a civilized human being, this is your university. For here is the hope and promise of an unshackled world, where men will live together in true understanding and brotherhood. Hebrew University, these boys and girls need your help. For their sake, for the sake of Zion, for the sake of all the sons and daughters of God who have lived and died, believing that man is more than a clod of earth. For your own sake, give, and give from your very heart, that Israel's house of wisdom may shine like the Star of David upon this ancient land.